Alright, so I'm going to be doing a review on the Hoth ATST. So, this set released in January of 2022 for a retail price of $50 and retired in December of 2023. But because the set did retire not too long ago, you can still pick it up for about the retail price. And this has set number 75322 for minifigures, 586 pieces, and an age rating of 9+. Alright, so our first figure is this Snow Speckled Chewbacca. It's a fine figure. He has some printing on his legs, and even feet printing, which I do like. And of course he uses this pretty common head torso mold thing. And there is a slight print for his bandolier, and a bit of back printing. And obviously, there isn't a print underneath his torso. Our second figure is this Hoth Rebel Trooper. And it's a fine figure, I guess. She does have a pretty good print on her torso, which looks fine. And sadly, she doesn't include any leg printing, which I kind of wish there was a bit. It could even be something simple, like this. And she, of course, includes this pretty common Rebel Trooper helmet, and it looks fine, but it could definitely be a bit oversized. And you can actually remove the goggles and put them right there, but it doesn't really look that good just because the goggles are really oversized, and having that massive gap at the top doesn't look the best. And she does have a decent face print. I think it looks pretty good. And this is her second face. And she also includes a white backpack, which is definitely a nice inclusion. We also get this Hoth ATST palette. And I do actually really like this figure. I just think that the color scheme is pretty nice, but the white printing right there is pretty discolored. But the print on his torso does look pretty nice, actually. And his leg printing is also pretty nice. I do like the pockets on his knees. And of course he includes the pretty standard ATST driver helmet, which looks nice. His print is fine. It's nothing special, really. And this is the second face. And this is his back print. While not your traditional minifigure, we do get this Imperial Probe Droid, which I definitely think this has to be the best character in the set. Just because this is the best probe droid that we have gotten. And that's because we finally got a probe droid with the accurate color scheme. Because before this figure, they would all be done in black, which was just inaccurate. I definitely like all of the little bits on top of his head. I think that looks pretty good. But I find that these little things can be moved a bit too much. And you obviously have his arms, which you can move a bit, I guess, for a bit of playability. And if you're curious, his head can't really turn. But I mean, pretty good figure. Overall, this is a decent minifigures collection. I do like all of the figures, but I feel like there are only really two standouts. And that would just have to be these two. I really like the ATST driver, and especially the probe droid. And I'm not saying that those two figures are bad. They're just not really that interesting. But I mean, all of the figures were done pretty well. But not for the actual builds. Alright, so first off, I want to say that this is definitely an interesting set. Just because it's Hoth ATST, and a lot of people didn't even know that there were ATSTs on Hoth. And that's because you only ever see this vehicle in the background of episode 5 for like a couple seconds. But I do like having a bit more of a unique model of an ATST, and it is actually a unique design compared to the normal ATST. I even did a comparison. So for the legs don't really have too much posability. There's only really one spot where you can actually move it, and that's just right here. You can move it a bit, just like this, but otherwise that's essentially it. There isn't any sort of joint in the ankles or right there, so I kind of wish that there was something else. And the legs themselves do look decent, but I'm not a fan of those random tan bits. I just don't think they look the best, really. And as you can see, the legs are mostly made out of Technic. They did use a couple tiles to try to cover up some of the ugly Technic. I do somewhat appreciate that. There is even this little hydraulic thing, but my little piece cracked right there. It's a bit hard to see, but pretty big crack going all the way across, so that kind of sucks. And the feet look decent. They don't look terrible. They don't have any posability, really. You can move this thing, I guess, but you're not really meant to. That's only for decoration. But the feet do look decent. Alright, so for the head. First off, it does have some posability. You can move it around, which I do like. And the motion is pretty smooth. And you can actually move at the back because there is just this little knob, which you can just use to spin around, which I definitely do like. But you can't do a 360, and that's just because, as you can see, it will kind of hit your hand. And the detailing right here does look decent. Even at the front, it doesn't look terrible. But for the actual head itself, it's not too bad. They do actually have some unique weapons on the side. I believe that's only a cannon and that's some sort of sensor. And the shaping of the actual head was done pretty well. I think it looks decent. There is the cannon at the front, which you can move up and down. And there are even 2 spring-loaded shooters right there, which you fire off just by pushing right here at the back. Oops. Which is pretty nice. And the front of the thing does look pretty good. I do definitely like the closed windows. That is definitely the most noticeable feature of the Hoth ATSD. And it doesn't look too bad. And there's a little hatch at the top, which you can open up. But I kind of wish that they maybe use some of those more pieces to put there, so at least have the entrance look a bit more round. Just because I'm not a huge fan of that random line right there. But if you want to actually put the figure in, you actually open the entire thing up. And inside it, it's not terrible. There is a pretty common LEGO Star Wars control bin right there, and some spots to put the driver's weapon and vibro binoculars. And you can, of course, put in the figure just like that. And he doesn't look terrible inside. And you can, of course, close this up just like that. But one issue I find is that this whole front piece falls off pretty easily, which is very annoying. But you can see a bit of the structure inside. And technically, there are supposed to be 2 pilots in there, but it's already way too cramped for 1. And if you want, you could actually have the ATSD driver poking out of the top. But should you pick up the set? I mean, yeah, probably. It is a pretty good ATSD, but I would definitely say I generally prefer the design of the normal ATSD more than the Hoth ATSD. But I do like the set. And if you were looking to pick up an ATSD, this one is not a bad option. But I would especially recommend for you to pick up the set if you have the 2020 AT-AT, even the UCS AT-AT, or just a Hoth display. But even as a standalone set, it's not bad. So I'll give the set about a 7 out of 10.